you can study while they're in Canada. So before we move on, let me just give you a round of introduction. So my name is Rajan Bhatia. I am the Vice President of Admission Counseling at Jamboree. Having done my education from UK regarding my bachelor's and master's, so I have been helping students for past 16 plus years into realizing their dream of study abroad education, and joining with me together for this webinar, I have a unique set of panelists with me. So let us go one by one to each one of them for the introduction. So Devjyoti, if you can just start your video and just introduce yourself.
Sir, my video would be a little slow, so I'll just
No
brief
problem.
myself quickly.
Okay.
So I'm Devjyoti Biswas, and I'm with Jamboree from the last 2 years, and I look after the Canadian education along with US, Ireland, UK, and the other countries. So it's been quite a time now that I've been helping students to go abroad. So maybe today it would be a helpful session for all of you. So if anyone has any questions, can reach out to me. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Devjyoti. So now we will move to Aninder. Aninder, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Sir, my video has been stopped by you. So if you can enable it.
Yeah. Okay. Just a second. Okay, you can go on. I think there's some issue with the video. So.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Aninder. I'm one of the panelists, and I currently manage the MBA admissions and some master's intakes. So I have been working with Jamboree for close to 2 years now, and I've done my MBA from York Schulich, based in Canada. So it was a great learning experience, and I thought of sharing my learnings. If you guys have any questions, I'll be welcome. I'll be sort of waiting for them, indeed. So let's have a great interaction ahead, and let's see. All the very best.
Now the video is on. You can switch it on. Yeah, we can see you now.
Yeah. So hi everyone again. So myself, Aninder. I'm one of the panelists, and I'm catering to the MBA admissions with the Jamboree. And it's been close to 2 years for me now. Before that, I did my MBA from York Schulich in Canada, and in total, I have close to 12 years of work experience, all spanning across oil and gas, banking, uh, then three-party logistics, and lately the education industry. So I'm just looking forward to share my experience and learnings with you all, and hope to have a great session. All the best.
Thank you, Aninder. Sharmishta, can we have you on the panel now? Yes.
Okay. Hi. So first of all, I would like to thank everybody for joining with us today. And so I've been working with Jamboree for the past 2 years now, and I've served close to 200 students now. So I hope to share my experience with all of you, and share good options in Canada, good university options, and the entry requirements. And whatever questions you have, I would be happy to address all of those.
Thank you, Sharmishta. Sunidhi, can we have you now?
Hello, everyone. So this is Nidhi. Firstly, thank you, everyone, for taking out your valuable time for this session. So about me, I have completed my bachelor's and master's in business, and have been in education sector for quite a long time now. And with Jamboree, I majorly handle the master's cases. So we hope to have an interactive session with you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for the introduction. So, just to start with, just to have a sense of the attendees. So we have around 110 attendees on the panel. So if I were to, just do a quick check, so how many of you are looking for an undergraduate education in Canada? Okay. How many do we have for masters? Okay, great. So we have a combination of masters and undergrad and MBA all together in the current list of attendees. So we will try to cover each and every aspect for you in this presentation. And just to set some ground rules, no, we will be no, disabling the chat function right now once we start our presentation, and just hold on to your questions, because we will be having a detailed Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So you will get an opportunity to ask all your questions to our panelists, and we will be able to answer them one by one. So so let's just a last round of check with you. So are we audible? Okay, good. So let us start now. So is my screen visible to everyone? Okay, great. So without further ado, so let us now start. So I will be disabling the chat function and I will enable it, once we are done with the presentation, and we will take your questions. So just to give you a sense of Canada has been really over last 5-6 years has really come up as a good study abroad destination, being a part of the North America and promoting North American education. So a lot of students now want to want to keep Canada as a study abroad destination in their radar. No, there has been a significant increase in the number of students who want to go to Canada for the higher education, maybe at diplomas or PG diplomas level, at undergraduate level, maybe at masters and even MBA. So a lot of students have started looking at Canada as a close destination for their study abroad. So just to give you a sense of how Canada as a country is divided into. So Canada as a country is divided in 10 provinces. So if you see all these 10 provinces in the bottom, so British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. So these are the 10 provinces which make Canada as a country as a whole. And apart from that, there are 3 territories which are there, like the Yukon Territory, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. So this is how the map of Canada looks like. So if you were to divide, as the US, in US you have the East Coast and West Coast, where East Coast is marked by New York and the West Coast is marked by California. So similarly in Canada, you can see that the East Coast might be on the side of the Ontario region, which is quite popular among the students, and the west coast of Canada, which is referred to British Columbia. So where a lot of students either want to be on the Ontario side or on the British Columbia side as far as their education is concerned. So that is where a lot of students look at. But there also exist a lot of good universities in other provinces, like in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Quebec. So a lot of, even New Brunswick. So a lot of good universities also exist in these provinces. So my advice to students is to look at Canada as a whole, not just focusing on only Ontario and British Columbia, and also expanding your choice to the other provinces also. So why no Canada has really emerged as a good study abroad destination? Why? Because first of all, global focus. So the universities which are there in Canada do provide you a wholesale view of the global education. So they provide you a global perspective on the education. In terms of the research and technology, available at the disposal of international students. The universities of Canada are quite old universities, which are recognized by across all the continents of the world. So you have some of the oldest universities in Canada, like University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, University of Manitoba, University of Waterloo. So all these universities do feature in all the world rankings of universities worldwide. But the first and foremost reason why students look at Canada as a good study abroad destination is the opportunity to get a permanent residency in Canada. So a lot of friendly PR policies which are there in Canada has to offer. Why? Because Canada needs a lot of international immigrants to take up the job positions which are there in the country. Why? Because first of all, the shortage of talent among the country, and secondly is around 50 to 60% of population of Canada is an aging population. So that's why they need the youth, they need the international immigrants to come to that country and run their country. That's why the friendly policies related to permanent residency are quite available to students or immigrants. So a lot of friendly PR policies in the country, and a lot of support services which are available for international students are also there in Canada. So support in terms of housing, in terms of part-time jobs, in terms of health care, medical. So a lot of support services are available for international students in Canada. So these are some of the reasons why Canada has really emerged as a good study abroad destination for students worldwide, and especially the Indian students. As far as the admissions criteria is concerned, the admission requirements in Canada vary by institution to institution. So every university has their own set of academic requirements. So we will take care of that in the future slides to come. As far as the admissions are concerned, the academic achievement in terms of your 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th in terms of your undergraduation is concerned. And if you're applying for a master's degree, so the grades that you obtain in your bachelor's degree are the most important criteria, which is looked on by all the major universities of Canada. And these are the academic achievement is a major thrust, which is taken into consideration by a lot of universities in Canada when it comes to admissions to undergraduate or the master's degrees. Apart from that, you also have to provide your proof of English proficiency, which is the TOEFL or the IELTS exam scores. Of late, due to this COVID-19, lot of universities have also started accepting the Duolingo English exams. So it is a combination of your IELTS or a TOEFL or the Duolingo test to fulfill your English proficiency requirements. There are two major intakes in Canada. So one is the January intake. January or few colleges also starts in February, and the other one is the September or October intake. So these are the two major intakes in Canada, which is January and September. So these are the two major intakes. Apart from that, there's also a May intake, but that is very, very limited and only is run by some of the few public government colleges in Canada. So they have called a summer intake, which is in the month of May. So what are the various levels of education when it comes to Canada? So students who are class 12th pass outs, so they can either study diplomas in Canada. So these diplomas are mostly 2 to 3 years in duration. So you can do a diploma in any field, diploma in computer science, diploma in engineering, diploma in business, diploma in tourism, hospitality. So a lot of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. So a lot of diplomas are available to students who have just passed out 12th or who are in class 12th. So they can study a diploma of 2 to 3 years in duration, or they can also go on and study the bachelor's degrees in various fields in Canada. For people who have already done their bachelor's degrees, so they can also do postgraduate diplomas, which are the PG diplomas, which are mostly 1 to 2 years in duration. So they can either study PG diplomas, or they can also study master's degrees in Canada in various fields. So some of the popular master's degrees in Canada are your computer science, biotechnology, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and management, MBA, masters in management. So these are some of the popular master's degrees which are there in Canada. So these are the various education levels which the international students can pursue while they are there in Canada for a higher education. So as far as the entry requirements are concerned in Canada, so a lot of colleges in Canada offer diplomas and PG diplomas to students that are very employable. So these diplomas, you can study from from 10+2, and you just have to have minimum 55% in your class 12th and an IELTS score of overall 6 bands with no band less than 6. So these are the entry criteria as far as the diploma programs in Canada are concerned. And the people who are who are bachelor's degree holders, they can study a lot of PG diplomas in various fields for which the requirements are bachelor's degrees with the minimum 55% in your graduation and an overall 6.5 bands with no band less than 6. So these IELTS requirements are very important. So if you're going for a diploma, so you have to have a minimum overall 6 bands with no band less than 6. Or if you are looking for PG diplomas, so you have to have a bachelor's degree with minimum 55% and an overall 6.5 bands with no band less than 6. Just to just to tell you about the various various entry criteria as far as undergraduate degrees are concerned. So Sharmishta, would you like to talk about the undergraduate degree requirements in Canada?
Yes, sir, sure.
Yes, Sharmishta, you're audible.
Okay. So yeah, some of the top universities in Canada include University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, University of British Columbia. So all the names are given in the list. The entry criteria for Canada is going to vary from university to university, starting with around 65% as the minimum required. However, there are some universities which also accept students with a 60% in their grade 12, again varying according to the major that you're selecting. The University of Toronto and University of Waterloo are one of the most sought after universities for the STEM courses, especially for computer science. The minimum percentage required for these two universities will be 90 to 95%. Then there are other universities, like there's University of Windsor, there's Lakehead University. These universities require around a 70% in grade 12 as the minimum.
Okay, thanks, Sharmishta. So as you can see, that, the Canadian universities are quite stringent on as far as the entry criteria are concerned. So I know some of the top universities like a University of Toronto or a University of British Columbia or a University of Waterloo, they prefer around 85 to 90% in your class 12th. No, other universities like Simon Fraser, University of Manitoba, York, I know they prefer like a 80 to 85%. And then there are other universities, I know, which are like University of Saskatchewan, University of Guelph, University of Regina, Lakehead, etc., which are in the range of 60 to 80%. So no, very important when you are applying to Canadian universities. So they take into consideration your scores of class 9th, 10th, 11th. And if you are in class 12th, so your half yearly exams results are very important, and based on which you will they will give you conditional offers, which will be later on be converted into unconditional offers once you provide the final percentage of your class 12th board exams to these Canadian universities. So if Canada is your destination, so do focus a lot on improving your academics. And apart from that, the other things like your extracurricular activities, your essays, letter of recommendations from your school are also important. But the main focus of the entry criteria is based on your academic performance. So that is very important as far as the Canadian education system is concerned. Okay, thank you, Sharmishta. So now let us look at how the master's degrees of Canada look like. So Nidhi, would you be able to talk about some master's degrees entry criteria for Canadian universities?
Sure, sir. So I think most of it is clearly, it clearly mentions about the academics and about the GRE requirements. So generally, when we talk about the undergrad requirement, is the similar as in the case of undergrad. So the Canadian universities generally put more focus on the undergrad percentage. So that is what they majorly look at, since GRE is not a very important criteria for them. As you can see on this slide as well, there are hardly any courses which would ask for a GRE except a few, but the main criteria for them is the undergrad, and then obviously as the other points that you mentioned, like how strong your SOP and your essays are, how strong the recommendations are. So all the other factors are actually important for them. Yeah. This is just the detail about two courses that we've mentioned here. Probably we'll come out with other popular master's courses in US that generally the students consider.
So as as Nidhi mentioned, I know a lot of Canadian universities, again, if you see from this, we have compiled the courses like mechanical engineering and computer science and engineering. So a lot of universities, GRE is also optional or it is not required. But the crux again focus is on the academic achievement, the kind of scores you obtain in your bachelor's degrees. So those are very important when it comes to the Canadian education system. So even top universities like a Toronto or British Columbia prefers like a 65 to 70% for mechanical engineering and around 75% for computer science. So most of these top universities or most of the Canadian universities prefer like a 65% plus, where as far as the admissions to master's degrees are concerned. The likes of McGill, Alberta, Queen's, Dalhousie, University of Victoria, McMaster, Western University, University of Saskatchewan. So highly academic oriented universities where GRE, for example, if you see for mechanical engineering, only University of British Columbia is asking for GRE, which is optional. And as far as computer science is concerned, only McGill University and University of Alberta and Victoria is asking or saying it is recommended. But more or less the universities in Canada are not very focused on the GRE, but they are focused on your academic percentage that you obtain in your graduation. So that is very important as far as the admission to master's degrees is concerned in Canada. And apart from that, the things like your statement of purpose, the letters of recommendation. So any extra research work in terms of internships, projects you might have had in your profile. So these also really carry some weightage while giving you admission for the master's degree in Canadian universities. And apart from these, some of the popular other MS courses which are there in Canada, are your electrical engineering, architecture. You will have few universities offering courses like business analytics, masters of information systems, no programs like psychology, international relations, international affairs, etc. So these are some of the other popular courses which attract a lot of students in as far as Canada is concerned. Maninder, would you like to throw some light on the MBA education system in Canada?
Yeah, sure, sir. Thanks a lot. Canadian MBA scenario is like say divided into the two types of MBA. So we do have the MBA programs which are offered by the schools like Ivy, Simon Fraser, Queens, and like maybe host of other lower end of the universities. Then we have like 2-year MBAs which are offered by Rotman, Schulich, McGill, McMaster, UBC, Alberta, and sort of like the top-notch 5-7 programs or the 5-7 universities. They all have the 2-year MBAs. It all depends on the students, like which intake you are expecting. So MBA also has the 2 intakes in Canada. One is the Jan intake and one is the September intake. So there are limited options for the Jan intake because it's quite, it's the winter season, and like Ivy, Queens, and these are the prominent MBAs which begins in January, along with the Schulich, which also has a Jan intake. And the GMAT requirements, they're quite stringent for all the B schools. They range right from 600 to up and above 720, 740 for the school like Rotman. And your undergraduation GPA also matters. Overall, the education system is fantastic. You will have a great MBA experience. The job markets are quite plush as of now. I would say yes, preferred destination surely. You have plenty of opportunities and should go for that. Yeah.
So as I know, as Aninder mentioned, these are some of the 1-year MBAs like Richard Ivy, Queens, then HEC Montreal. So these are some of, and these are some of the popular 1-year MBAs, and then you have 16 to 20 months MBA from York, Schulich, McGill, University of British Columbia, McMaster, Alberta. So these are some of the MBA eligibility requirements. You have to have a 4-year undergraduate degree, which is acceptable and preferred by all schools. A satisfactory GMAT score, because almost all the universities in Canada do require GMAT, but there are some universities which give a waiver of the GMAT or which do not require GMAT. Also, 2 years work experience mandatory at a few, and strongly also recommended by some of the few MBA schools in Canada. And the IELTS or the TOEFL exam for your English proficiency. In addition to your any essays, the letters of recommendation, and a CV, which is also important for the if you want to pursue a Canadian MBA. So these are some of the mandatory requirements for the Canadian MBA. So just to give you some sense on the average GMAT scores which are there or required by these Canadian education universities. So University of Toronto Rotman has an average GMAT score of 710. Richard Ivy has average of 670. Queens also has average GMAT score of 670. York Schulich 660. University of British Columbia Sauder School of Business around 670. HEC Montreal 620. McMaster, the D. Groot School of Business requires a minimum GMAT of 600. The average of McGill is 670, and the Alberta average GMAT stands at 620. So, anyways, if you're looking for a good Canadian MBA education, so, if you're looking for top school, so average GMAT score of 700 to 710 is what is expected out of you for these universities. And, if you're looking for the likes of other universities, so I would always suggest you to aim at a score range of 600 to 650 to be able to get admission into decent universities in Canada. So as far as the intakes are concerned, there are 2 intakes, as we mentioned, the January intake and the September intake. So the deadlines of the January intake varies between May to August of the same year. So for example, if you are applying for the January 21 intake, then the deadlines will be between May to July of 2020. So that means if you want to apply for January 21, the deadlines are going right now. And if you're looking for the September intake, So deadlines vary between October to February. So for example, if you want to apply for the September 21 intake, then the deadlines will be between October of 2020 to February of 2021. So that is quite common for all programs like undergrad, MS and MBA. So those are the various set of deadlines which the universities have for these various courses. So when we talked about the course preferences, the eligibility criteria, the requirements. So working in Canada, so you can work part-time on or off campus during your studies. So as an international student, you can work for 20 hours per week part-time during your studies, and you can earn around $10 to $12 an hour, which can easily take care of your living. Canada provides extensive work and career opportunities for all types of students. So a lot of universities in Canada do have co-op programs, which are like paid internships. So some universities like McMaster University, University of Manitoba, etc., have very good co-op programs for students for giving them practical exposure, and these are paid internships. International graduates from Canadian higher education institutions also have the opportunity to work in Canada for up to 3 years following the completion of their program. So as far as the rules are concerned, so if you go for a 1-year program in Canada, you get a 1-year post-study work visa in Canada. And if you study a minimum 2 years of program in Canada, you get a three-year post-study work visa in Canada. So any 1-year program would guarantee you a 1-year post-study work permit, and any 2-year program would guarantee you a 3-year post-study work permit in Canada. So these are some of the official rules of Canada. And after that, once you spend these time of working in Canada after your studies, so you also become eligible to file your application for the permanent residency. So which makes you eligible to apply for a PR in Canada, and which really is a good value proposition for you in terms of your studies, because you get an opportunity to become a citizen of Canada after your studies and after the work experience that you gain in Canada. So this was what we had in store for you. So so I will now open the house for the questions. So you can type in your questions in the chat box, and we can take them one by one. So there's a question. Which are the best universities for MS? So Raghav, can you mention which courses, MS courses you're talking about? So Raghav, as you were asking that which are the best 3-year MBA colleges. So like the top MBA colleges in Canada are like University of Toronto, Rotman, York, Schulich, and University of British Columbia. So these are the best 3 top MBA programs in Canada. So Ninder, would you like to take this question? How do the job prospects vary between 1-year and 2-year MBA program in Canada?
Sure, thanks, Rajan. See, the 1-year MBA program, as Rajan mentioned just a minutes back, that it will land you up with a 1-year work visa, and 2-year MBA will give you a 3-year work visa. So it's basically a personal choice beforehand that whatever the MBA you want to pursue. Both the MBAs are equally strong. The job market is quite good for the financial sectors, any service-oriented industries, particularly good for the consulting domain, because almost all the Fortune 500 companies are working there. And the MBA programs, they start from, say, the 1-year will start from Jan and sort of end around December. So we will have plenty of job openings which come up sort of once the winter season gets over. So almost all the organizations, they post lots of job openings, and you have plenty of options even for going for the internships. So finally make a choice that Ontario, British Columbia, these are the prime places for doing an MBA in Canada, as Ontario has Rotman, Schulich, McMaster as the top MBA programs. And again, there is another sort of an MBA which is quite famous. That's the Co-op MBA. So a B school like B Group, they have a co-op MBA. You go, you take a semester, then you have a complete semester off in the market. You apply yourself and come back to the school then the very next semester. So by the time you graduate, you will be having a local work ex, and you will also earn some money so that you can fund your education. So like there's no such problem. It's like perfectly great market, great place to go for an MBA, and definitely one of the option one should think parallelly to, like, say, applying to the USA. Yeah.
Okay, so there's another question, Raghav, that as in USA, fall semester is preferred over spring. So does the same apply for Canada? So again, Raghav, no, the only difference between fall and spring in Canada is that, no, if your question is towards MBA, so very, very few schools offer MBA in Canada in January intake. Only Richard Ivey and Queen's University offers an MBA in spring. Otherwise, the major intake for the MBA is the fall semester. So if you are looking for more opportunities in Canada for MBA, so always fall semester is more preferred over the spring. Okay, so Nidhi, we have a question from Reva that which universities offer MS in marketing and what are the requirements? So would you like to answer that question?
So talking about Masters of Marketing, again, the options could be slightly limited. I think to name a few, probably York offers, the Schulich Business School that offers. Queen's offer. Concordia maybe is one university that offers. So the options are slightly limited. If you talk about the requirements, it's going to be similar, like you require an essay, you require a letter of recommendations, you require a resume, and then your transcripts, mark sheets, and all of that. So these are generally the requirements. Scholarship options, if I talk about, they're most of all, mostly they're all merit based. So that is how it is there. Yeah. So as and when your application goes, if they feel that all the your undergrad is score is met, and I mean, if they feel it's worth considering, so they will definitely award you a scholarship.
Okay. Thanks, Nidhi.
Yeah.
So, Sharmisha, there are a couple of questions for undergrad. First of all, Noya want to ask that are IB students required to give the English proficiency exams like TOEFL? And for undergrad, is the SAT considered?
Okay. So first of all, I would like to address the question regarding SAT. So SAT in Canada is not required. Only the school scores and your profile is considered while looking at the applications. So SAT is not even required for scholarships in Canada. That's number one. Number two, about the English proficiency test being required. So the English proficiency tests like IELTS and TOEFL are required for admissions in the Canadian universities. And even for IB students, when you apply for a visa, you will be needing your IELTS score. So we can't really skip the English proficiency requirement in case of Canada.
Okay, so thanks, Sharmisha. So Noya, it is not only the admissions requirement, it is also a visa requirement as far as the proficiency of English exam is concerned. For Zan, your question is that for after undergrad, do you need to write GMAT? So if you're looking for MBA, so GMAT is required, but there are some universities in Canada which do not require GMAT also. So I will give you some examples if this question is for everyone. Like, no, there are some good universities in Canada which do not require GMAT also for MBA. Like, for example, there is Vancouver Island University. Then there is Thompson Rivers University. Then University of Canada West and NYIT Vancouver. So these are the 4 universities in Canada which are good universities and which do not require GMAT, and they also do not require work experience for the MBA program. So Nidhi, Gaurang has a question that can you help me with some good industrial psychology universities for masters?
Okay. Okay, now for industrial psychology, again, the options are going to be very limited because this again is a field under psychology. So it is very hard when we talk about specializations. There are very few options which offer an industrial or an organization psychology. To name maybe 1 or 2 universities, Gulf is there which offers. Then there is Calgary that offers, but you won't find a lot of options which would specifically be in industrial. So you can probably look at an MA in psychology and maybe pick up a research area under that.
Okay, thanks, Nidhi.
Yeah.
So, Cheryl has a question that usually students in India do not have a 4-year undergraduate degree. So how to tackle this challenge as far as the MBA is concerned?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, see, the prominent MBAs, they all accept the 3-year degrees like Scholle, Rotman, D. Groot, McGill, UBC, even Alberta for that part. There will be some lower end universities, they may not accept a 3-year degree. If that is the case, it all again come back to the range of the score you have. If you have a GMAT, what's your priorities? So if you are aiming for the lower end of the one or two universities, you may have to just get it clarified by writing an email to them. Otherwise, 3-year bachelor's degree would be acceptable. In some cases, like say if you're looking for an MBA from Sherlock, you will need an 1-year additional work ex. So if the minimum requirement is the 2-year work ex, if you have a 3-year degree, you need a 3-year work ex. So that would be the change. So it's a sort of like you have to compensate with one of the critical important admission requirements. Otherwise, you can pursue any sort of a 1-year master's once you have graduated, like say done a BBA. So go for a 1-year master's from India. So by the time you appear for the GMAT, you apply for the school, you begin, you'll be having the minimum required 16-year education.
Thank you, Aninder. So there's another no question, no from Reva. I think we have already touched upon this question. So Redmi has a question that does 16 months of MBA equals to 3 years of work visa? So Aninder, if you would like to touch on this as well?
See, the MBA in Canada is, if a 1-year MBA, it means 8 months. So you have like one semester you will do, then another semester. So minimum 8 months of study count as a 1 year for Canada. So if you're doing a 16 months MBA, 20 months MBA, 22 months MBA, all are like equivalent for a 2-year MBA because you will have a mandatory internship in that. So doing a 16, 20, 22 months, it all will give you a 3-year work.
Okay. So Sparsh, no, as your question is that if you've done your bachelor's in economics and now you're looking for a MBA in supply chain, so that is not an issue because no, it is a good combination and no, we do not know about your work experience. But if you've done a bachelor's in economics, so you will do get some options in MBA in Canada in supply chain also. So you just have to explain this thing in the essays and rest should be fine. So Nidhi, Harsh has a question that how many years of education is required for a MS in finance in Canada?
So generally, if we talk about 16 years of education is a requirement, but there's always an option that we can mail certain universities like, to get an answer on whether they would accept. But in general, 16 years is what they require.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vikram, as you're asking for the MEM options in Canada, so MEM, just to tell you, MEM is a very limited program in Canada. Very few universities offer the Masters in Engineering Management. So your choice is very limited. But if you're looking for, if you look at the US options, so you will get more options for especially the MEM programs as far as the US is concerned. So Nidhi, Abhishek has a question that can you suggest some universities in which offers data analytics or business analytics in Canada, or what is the scope of these in Canada?
Okay, so again, universities for business analytics or data science, the options are there, but for business analytics, the options are like slightly limited. You hardly have about 3-4 universities which offer business analytics. Same is for data science or data analytics, to probably name a few. Maybe I think this Ryerson offers, UBC offers. So these universities are there which offer a master's in data science or a business analytics.
Okay. So Sanchit, no, as you have been asking that you have been working in family business for 3 years, so will it be counted as work experience? So just to clarify for everyone, that any number of work experience that you have after your bachelor's degree is counted as full-time work experience. And even if you're working in your family business for 3 years after your graduation, so that is counted as work experience because entrepreneurial experience is always equally weighted by a lot of MBA schools in Canada. So it is totally counted as work experience. So, sir, no, as you are mentioning that, no, keeping this COVID situation in consideration, does it make sense to apply? Yes, no, it is. It surely makes sense to apply, because if you, no, if the, no, there are a lot of Canada has been a country which was least affected by this COVID, and they have really taken very good steps, especially for students and their labor market, to provide them with extra initiatives for for securing their jobs. So, even if you start in fall 21, so by the time you complete your MBA, when you will enter into the job market, so you will have all the companies with lucrative job offers. So that is the right time for you to start your MBA in Canada. Samir, no, just to no, talk about backlogs. So 5 backlogs is not a large number of backlogs in Canada, but obviously Canada as a country is a very restrictive against backlogs. So if someone has very large number of backlogs during their studies, so that is not widely accepted by the universities in Canada. So Ashima, I think Aninder has already taken this question, that how you can complete your extra year of education. So Devjyoti, Abhinav has a question that he has done a 3-year BA degree from India, and he's saying that he's not eligible for MBA in Canada. So he's thinking of a PGDM. So can you just answer that, if his PGDM is a good option for him, or he can still go for MBA in Canada with a 3-year BBA degree?
So, sir, he can do both. There are some schools which offer, degree with 3 years also, and there are some schools which also help with PG diploma. So he can go for both. Now it's up to it's his call which one he would want to go for. But if you talk about the expenses, the PG diploma program would be way lesser than the MBA program. So maybe PG diploma would be the one which he can go for easily, and then maybe if he wants, he can pursue MBA later on. So that's totally his call, but he can do both.
Okay. So Abhinav, even for Abhinav and people who also have 3-year degrees, so you can also go for MBA degrees. So there are a lot of universities in Canada which do accept the Indian 3-year BBA degrees. And no, if you or else you want, you can also do PGDMs. So the average cost of PGDM, as Devjyoti mentioned, is around 10 to 12 lakhs, tuition plus living per year. And the average of cost of doing an MBA in Canada is around 20 to 25 lakhs per year, tuition plus living. So Ankit, as far as the Canadian universities is concerned, so they do not offer any need-based scholarships. So they only offer merit-based scholarships. So you will not get any need-based scholarships in Canada. So Canadian universities do not offer any need-based scholarships. So Aninder, Mahesh has a question that he has passed out the degree back in 2014 university, and then he was working. So is he eligible for an MBA in Canada? And if yes, do I need to appear for GMAT?
Yes, if you're looking for the top-notch options, you need to have a GMAT. Like even in the current COVID situation, like Canadian MBAs, they have not offered the relaxation of not having a GMAT score. So either GMAT or the GRE, both the scores are equally acceptable, and your work ex should be like 2 years, 3 years, or a bit more. So in this case, like you can definitely choose the option, prepare for the GMAT, get the score, and submit the application.
Okay. So Sharmishta, Yash has a question that other than the board results and essays, what are the requirements for getting accepted in top universities like Toronto, UBC, or McGill into undergraduate education, and also the expenses involved?
So apart from qualifying the minimum percentage criteria for the top universities like Toronto and Waterloo, apart from that, your profile needs to be very good. So whatever major you're going for, you need to prepare a profile according to that. You need to work on a profile according to the major that you're going for. So that's very important. Apart from that, the essays are very important because essays are the face of the application. So it's very important that your essays are able to depict what all activities you have participated in. in addition to that, the English proficiency scores are also very important because you need to qualify the minimum for the English proficiency scores as well. As far as the cost of attendance is concerned for the top Canadian universities, it is going to range between 30 to 35 lakhs per annum, depending on the major that you go.
And so, are there any scholarships offered by these universities?
Yes, scholarships are offered. So these are all merit-based scholarships, no need-based scholarships. Merit-based scholarships are offered by top universities like University of British Columbia, University of Toronto, but they have a different scholarship deadline. So if you're planning to apply for a scholarship, you need to keep a check on what is the specific scholarship deadline for that university.
Okay. So Aninder, Sangeet has a question that he's a dentist with 5 years of work experience.
Mm-hmm.
What are the best colleges in Canada which can offer him a good MBA in healthcare?
Rotman, Schulich, and McGill are the best options you can have, and yes, pretty much, like you should go for them.
So Rotman, McGill, and Schulich, Sangeet are the good options which have a good MBA in healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nipul, so if you're applying for a master's degree in Canada, like a MS in any computer science or engineering, so work experience is not required. So any MS degrees that you do in Canada, so work experience is not required for those universities. So it's not required at all. Nidhi, Tejas has the question that other than the academic requirements, how much weightage is given to the personal profile in getting into admission in top universities for MS?
I'm not sure what does the personal profile mean, but I mean, what I can tell you is what all matters in a profile is obviously what background you're coming from, and you know, what kind of additional things that you have done apart from your undergrad, any other extracurricular activities, your participations, your internships. So all of that actually contribute to your entire profile. Is, I think, what I can understand is what you need to show.
Okay, so it's a combination of your academics,
Exactly.
your projects, internships, any research
Right.
done, the SOPs, the letter of recommendations, your CV. So all these things matter together when, as far as the undergraduate admissions, as far as the master's admissions process is concerned in Canada. So Anu, just to give you answer, some are asking about the gaps. So if you have a lot of gaps in your profile, so I would not suggest to apply for Canada as a destination. I know, because unless you have sufficient proofs to fulfill those gaps, no, in your application, do you have sufficient documentary evidence for that? Only then you should apply for Canada. But if you do not have any documentary evidence to fill those gaps, so then Canada is not a good destination for you for studies. Sharmishta Purnika has a question that which subject is best to study in Canada for undergraduate students considering the financial status?
See, the cost of attendance doesn't vary a lot according to the major. So what major you should select or what degree you should pursue is completely dependent on your interests. You can go for business BBA, you can go for computer science, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. Then economics is a very sought after major in Canada. Even psychology is a good option. So yeah, I think these are the top options that you can go for, but obviously you have to decide according to your interest.
Aninder has a question that what is the feasibility of getting scholarships in Canada with a score of 616 GMAT and around 3.6 CGPA in BBA?
See, it depends on, like, say, what sort of the program one is looking for. So
MBA.
if I say for the MBA, then it's advised that one should apply in the first cycle of the admissions, and one should make up a really good, strong application. Then the second part would be performing well in the interview, because the interview committee or the admission committee will look holistically on each and every aspect of the profile. One can get like 20 to 30,000 scholarship if one is getting an admit from, say, B school like Rotman or the Schulich, or maybe again if you are aiming for another set of schools, which have a lower end of a GMAT, your scholarship amount can be a bit higher. But generally, Canadian MBAs, they're not that much famous for their scholarships, honestly. Reason being the cost of investment is like pretty low compared to the investment one would do in the B schools which are based in USA or across the Europe.
Okay. Nidhi, Jishant has a question that how to be sure of an admit in McGill University for Computer Science. He is in his fourth year and has an aggregate of around 8.4 CGPA in his graduation.
I think again here only this undergrad cannot be one factor of which we can be sure of getting an admit from a McGill, because it's a very competitive university. Apart from your undergrad, I'm not sure about what your profile includes, what kind of participations you have, what kind of other things you have in your profile. So as I mentioned earlier, every factor in your profile matters. And see, no way you can be sure that I'm going to get an admit from this particular university. So that's quite difficult to answer at this point.
So Akshat, just to tell you, Canada is a very good, is also a very good destination for MS in computer science. So a lot of good universities like McGill, UBC, Toronto, Dalhousie University, very good MS in computer science courses. So Canada has some good universities offering a master's in computer science. So not an issue there. Shovik, as far as the scholarships are concerned for MBA programs, so some of our students who have been able to obtain scholarships from Canada in the past are University of Toronto, Rotman, York Sholake, McGill, McMaster, Brock University. So these are some of the universities where the students have been able to achieve good scholarships for the MBA program. So Nidhi, Divyank has a question that which are some of the good universities in Canada offering MS in civil engineering or construction management?
Okay, so I think you'll have to give me 2 minutes for this. Let me just find out like what universities that you can target for civil engineering.
Okay, Nidhi, we'll come back to you once you're ready. So Cheryl, we have already answered your question that how to cover that fourth year of education. So Vipul, as you have a question that you have around 56% in your graduation with 2 years of work experience and a GPA 10. How are your chances in for MBA in Canada? So Aninder, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, like one has a good chance. So the 710 score is a pretty like decent one. So it just hello.
Yeah, Aninder, yeah.
Yeah. So the GMAT is pretty good one. So like one should aim for the best options, prepare the applications in the best possible way, bring out the best stories from your personal and professional life, and that's it. Like just go for it. It's simply the answer from my side would be don't have a second thought.
Okay. So I don't know who this person is, Dell PC, but if you have studied maths in 10th standard, so that has nothing to do with your MBA, because the Canadian universities for MBA do not ask for your 10th and 12th scores. So they only ask for your scores in the bachelor's degree and onwards. So even if you have not had maths in class 12th, so it doesn't matter, because universities will not ask for that. They will only ask for your graduation scores, which is your bachelor's degrees. So let me take some of the other questions. So Sharmisha Ayushman has a question that are SAT scores not considered at all, or what if even if we had given the exam?
So generally, SAT scores are not considered for admission, but if you've written the exam already, then you can definitely send your scores to the College Board website. But if you've not written the exam, no need to write it only for Canada, because Canadian universities don't really ask for SAT scores.
And we'll continue to answer your question. So, but if anyone or some of you, have your, want to have an individual discussion with any of our counselors or panelists, so just leave your name and number in a private chat, and we will have you contacted for your profile assessment for Canadian education specifically. So, if you have any questions, so which we are not able to cater right now, so you can leave your name and number, and we will get back to you. So we will move ahead now with other questions now. So Nidhi, are you ready with your civil engineering options?
Yes, sir. So I did look at some of the universities for civil engineering. So maybe to name a few, you have University of Toronto, then Windsor is there, then York is there. But for the construction management, you might not get a lot of options, and then you should probably consider the diploma programs, the postgraduate diploma programs. Maybe there the colleges can offer better programs in construction management rather than the universities offering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vikram, again, as I mentioned earlier, that it is not totally mandatory to have work experience for the MBA, because there are some of the good universities also in Canada, which you can also apply without work experience also. So you can leave your number and have someone contact you specifically for those universities. Nidhi, Fauzan has a question that what are the general admission requirements for the MArch programs in Canada?
Okay. So for an architecture program, so everything else remains the same, what we've been talking about since the starting of this webinar, like your SOP, your letter of recommendations, IELTS and TOEFL. What adds on to the requirement is your portfolio. So that is really important. So I'm sure you would have prepared a portfolio in your bachelor's as well. So that is something that is an additional requirement for a master's program in architecture.
Okay. So Fauzan, as you have asked the question that is internship experience counted? Yes, if you're applying for a Masters of Architecture and you have internship experience in your bachelor's degree in architecture, so that will really also add value to your application as far as the MArch is concerned. So it will surely have a positive in your application. So Kanika, again, as you mentioned that do you need work experience after BCom and 1-year diploma to apply for MBA? So again, as most of the universities do require 16 years of education. So after BCom, you should have a 1-year PG diploma, as Aninder mentioned earlier. But there are some universities who also accept 15 years of education, as some of the names I also pointed out initially. So there are some universities which also are available to you with your 3-year degrees also. Aninder, Dhruv has a question that he has done a BTech in CS with 7 CGPA and overall 6.8 years of experience. So what can be the ideal GMAT score for him to target for top colleges in Canada?
Anything from 680 to 720 up and above will be helpful. So if you're aiming for McGill, Sholay, Rotman and UBC, that's a sort of average score we should be having. Otherwise, for the Indian applicants, it's really competitive. So 680 to 720 up and above, that should be the range that you should be targeting.
Okay. So Sharmishta Devir is asking that what are some of the good colleges for undergrad in Canada on based on the IB scores in 12th class?
For which major? Can you please clarify for which major?
It is really not mentioned here, but maybe a general scenario.
Okay, so generally the top universities include University of Toronto, McGill University, University of Waterloo, Brock University is a great university. Then if you're looking at economics, then even University of British Columbia is a great option. Yeah, I think these are the top few universities that I can think of right now.
Okay. So Nidhi, Gaurang has a question that is there a requirement for undergraduate in psychology to study a master's in industrial psychology in Canada?
Yes, it is, because what happens is when you're going in for the master's program, they do have certain prerequisites that you need to complete. So it is a requirement. Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm not sure what the bachelor's is, but again, here the 16-year thing would also be taken into consideration.
okay. So Ashima, you are in the second year of BCom. So I know when you end the second year and you enter the third year of BCom, so that is the ideal time for you to start preparing the GMAT and take the GMAT so that you are in time to apply for the universities for the MBA program. So I think more of the questions are on the same line. So let me just scroll more. So Devjyoti, a person called AB has a question that will I get a job after doing a PG diploma from Canada?
So, sir, the job options are very well there. So even after a PG diploma, job options are available. So students can easily get jobs after the PG diploma program as well.
And what are the some? He also wants to know what are some of the good DM colleges in Canada.
Okay, so sir, a few good colleges or a decent college that you can say. So there are Seneca, there's Niagara, Fleming, Fanshawe, some good universities also which offer the diploma programs like Cape Breton University. So there are plenty of schools where we can help the student with.
Okay. So I think we are now. So we are now at. Anindar Nidhi Abhishek has a question that with 7 years of experience in IT, will there be any waiver for no any scores for MS in business analytics?
Uh, I'm not sure that will happen. We'll have to probably check the requirements for each of the universities to better answer this question. But generally, that is not there.
So you
I
see,
mean, that is for business analytics. You mentioned business analytics.
yes, yes.
Business analytics, when we talk about, there are a few universities where the student can go without the GMAT or GRE as well. But for the others, we'll have to individually check the requirements for each of them, whether they mention a GMAT or a GRE waiver on the basis of certain years of work experience.
Okay. Sharmishta Sukanya has a question that I am in class 12th, a non-medical student. So how much percentage is required for going to Canada for maybe computer science or engineering?
Okay. So it depends on what universities you're targeting. For the top universities, 90% plus will be required in class 12. And if we talk about universities such as University of Windsor, University of Canada West, so for all these universities, a percentage of 65 to 75% will also do. So yeah, the range will be starting from 65 and I mean, can go on till 95, depending on the universities that you're targeting.
So another question, Nidhi, which are the best colleges for MS in food technology?
Food technology being a very specific field, so I will have to probably check, but one or two universities that I can remember now is probably UBC offers a food technology, and there are certain colleges as well under PGDM, I mean the PGDM programs, wherein the student can find such programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another Akshit has a question that no, 1 year MBA is different from 2 years course learning wise. And usually US full-time MBAs are 2 years. So how does it work in Canada? And also, what would you recommend for 3 year work experience and a master's choosing between 1 year and 2 years MBA?
See, you have like three questions. So let me take the first one that see, it's a personal requirement of if you are good at work X, if you don't need a further internship, then go for a 1 year MBA because 1 year MBAs won't carry an internship with them. 2-year MBA will be having an internship of 3 to 4 months. So in your like sort of a profile, what I mentioned is 3-year work experience, master. So going for a 2-year MBA is more advised. The programs in Canada, they're primarily the 2-year MBAs, almost all the B schools, except few exceptions which have the 1 year. The programs will be a bit cost effective if you're pursuing an MBA from Canada. The cost of expenses can range from 30 to 40 lakhs, lower side to 60 to 80 to 90 lakhs for the upper end of say the UOT, like Rotman MBA. And whereas the same would be a bit higher in the USA, and the cost is a bit lower in the Canada as a whole.
So, so Nidhi, student Ruturaj is asking about what are the colleges which a student can get admission into chemical engineering for MS?
For chemical engineering, again, if you could give me 2 minutes, I'll probably look in for the best colleges. And if I may know, what's the undergrad percentage?
But you can just just give a general
just
scenario.
give an overall. So you can probably come back to me in 2 minutes. I'll just probably tell you about it.
Just to Rutura, just to tell you some of the universities no, good for chemical engineering are like University of Calgary, then University of Alberta, no UBC, no. So these are some of the good universities which are offering programs in chemical engineering. So we are now at no 11 minutes past 7. So I believe we have been able to answer most of your questions. So if still we were not able to answer some of your questions, so feel free to mention your name and number in the chat box. We will have someone contact you for the same. So we will take a couple of more questions now in the end. So Sharmishta, Dever has a question that which are some of the good universities for computer science in Canada?
University of Waterloo is ranked #1 in Canada for computer science. Then you have University of Toronto, McGill University, Western University. Yeah, I think these are the top ones.
Okay, so these are some of the top universities there. And so any other question, guys? So Anindra Shashank has a question that being an ERP consultant in sales, how are the job opportunities in Canada post MBA? And if you hold a Canada PR, so are there any relaxation in fees?
Shashank, I would just like to touch the base that the ERP as a whole is quite a sought after profile in Canada with lots of technological innovations happening, lots of expansion in the e-com organizations across Canada because it's a huge country. So don't worry about the job opportunities. You will have plenty of roles in the technical or the like sales side and anything. Like it's all up to you, whatever you want to pursue. For the second part, if you hold a Canadian PR, yes, the tuition fee would be like considerably lower for the like anyone holding a PR. For example, if you're paying 100,000 for an international student, for a PR, you will end up paying around 60 to 70,000 Canadian dollars. So having a PR will certainly adds your chances for the admissions quite a lot. The third side is yes, international work experiences, like it's pretty much preferred almost at all the places or across all the B schools, whether you are applying in USA, whether you're applying in Canada or across the Europe.
We will take one last question from Mahesh. So, so Anindra, the student is asking that he should do an MBA or a master's in international business, and which should be preferred. And is there any difference between these two?
See, Mahesh, what happens is like MBA is a highly specialized degree outside India. So once you're going for a MBA and once you're working in the market, like whenever you're putting up your, say, the profile for getting good roles, once you cross 10 to 12 year of work, most of the job requirements will ask for an MBA rather than just having a master. So having an MBA will give you an advanced learning in the field of international business, whereas like once you pursue a MSc or a master's in project management, you may have to pursue an MBA a few years down the lane. And so even if you pursue an MBA, you will have a chance to study project management with, or maybe even go for a PMP certification, which can further help your learning experience. So my take would be go for an MBA instead if you can, and that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, no, everyone for being coming to us on a Friday evening and attending this webinar, and thank you to all the panelists for addressing all the queries of the students. So again, no, I will leave this chat box open for a minute or two. No, to know if anyone wants to have a profile assessment or detailed talk with any of our counselors, so you can leave your name and number in the chat box, and we will have you called upon for the same. So thank you, panelists, for the wonderful session,
Thank you.
and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.